Hi and welcome to a new session. In the previous session we have configured GitHub and Jenkins to work together via SSH keys, and we have also fire up a simple build with an hello world Jenkins file. Now in this session we will continue developing our Jenkins file and we will add some tasks. But before that, you have to know that we will use a bunch of Jenkins plugins in order to develop our pipeline. So let's see how we can install a Jenkins plugin quickly. Simply go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins, and manage plugins. Here in the available tab we have the plugins that we can install. For example, if we search here for a VirtualBox plugin, you can see Jenkins will filter the results and will show you the plugins. In order to install a plugin, you can simply check out the plugin and select install without restart, or download now and install after restart, whatever. Okay, so this is how you can install a Jenkins plugin, a plugin that is not available yet. And now we can go back and focus on our pipeline. Okay, so further we will edit the Jenkins file to accomplish different kind of tasks. For this I will go here where the Jenkins file is, and let's try to accomplish our first task, which consists in check out the code from the developer branch. Just one more thing here. Is important to know that some of the code that you will see here, a consistent part of the Jenkins file code, was generated using the Jenkins syntax pipeline. As you can see here, this is the Jenkins pipeline syntax. Each plugin, or almost all the plugins, will provide you this sniped generator. You have to simply choose the step from here, and the step configuration, the sample step. It also has some other sub-steps, so you can explore this pipeline syntax by your own. You just have to select the step, the task, and follow the user interface, and when you are satisfied, you can simply click the generate pipeline script. For example, if I want to execute an Windows batch script, I can choose Windows batch script. If I want to simply echo a message, I can click echo. I can type here a message, and now if I click generate pipeline script, I get the script, which I can copy and use in my Jenkins file. Okay, so feel free to explore the code that you will see in our Jenkins file. Feel free to explore it with the pipeline syntax and get used to it. Okay, now let's get back to the pipeline, and let's see how we can check out the code from the developer branch. Okay, in order to do that, we need a plugin. Usually this plugin comes installed with the Jenkins. This is basically the Git plugin, so this plugin is needed in our approach, of course. And next, the code, I will simply paste it here so we can speed up the development. So I have created a stage name provision, and this is basically the code that will do the job. As you can see, we specify the branch as developer and the URL, and we know the credential. We need the credentials ID. These credentials are the credentials that we have set up in a previous session, and we can easily obtain them from Jenkins credentials, and this is basically the credentials that we need. And we have specified the GitHub ID. We will simply copy the ID and we will mention it here. Okay, so this task, this code should obtain in the Jenkins master the source code from GitHub. Okay, let's see how we can test this. I will simply commit. Okay, and now I will go to GitHub. Since this is a demo, I prefer to fire up the builds manually. Jenkins allows us to fire up builds by polling a CM, by triggering from a script, by a GitHub hook. So there are multiple ways to start up a build, but since we are here under a development phase, we prefer the manual approach. So I'm going to the project and I will say build now. I will switch to the console. So we can see here the message that we have added. Check out source code from GitHub, right? And we have a success. The code was successfully checked out. So the code now is on Jenkins master, which runs on Windows. Now the next task, also in this stage, is to change the version number of the project. Usually Maven uses a version number in the POM file, and we don't want to use that. We actually want to change the version number as quick as possible, and for this we will use another plugin. This plugin is the version number plugin, and this plugin can provide us a format that you can easily read and inspect here, and also in pipeline syntax. And this task will be accomplished in 2 steps. First, we will define an environment variable that represents the new version number, and further we invoke Maven, and we set that version and update the POM. So we can choose different types of formats for the version number. We can even choose other plugins, or we can do it without any plugin. So as I said, we will use the version number plugin, and we will define an environment variable. This can be accomplished here. So we change the project version, and the new version will be prefixed with the v1 dot prefix, and it will consist in the build of the month, the builds of the day, and the build number. The build number is provided by Jenkins, not by this version number plugin. Okay, so we have done this now we have to use this variable to update the version using Maven. So the code that we need is this one. It's a pretty simple code. First, we define a variable that indicates the Maven tool. The Maven tool comes from Jenkins. Is this one. In global tool configuration, we have set up Maven installations, and we have a Maven installation named the Maven. So depending on the name that we are providing here, we can actually refer to this this tool here. So this is true for other tools as well. Next, we use this variable, which basically indicates the location where Maven is installed, and we fire this simple Windows command that will invoke Maven with version set and will set the new version. As you can see, the value of the new version is our environment variable that is actually the new version number, and we don't want to allow Maven to generate backup POMs, and this is basically the second step that we accomplished. Okay, again I will commit this code, and I will push it to GitHub. Okay, so now we can try to see how everything works. I will build the project again. Let's see the output. We can see that our message changed the project version, and as you can see here, the new version is 1213. And the build was successful. As you can see here, Jenkins tell us that we updating project Spring MVC demo from version 1.0 to 1.2.1.3. Okay, so our step worked as expected, and now if we come here, we can see that this is the version that we have obtained. Okay, so the second task is done. We can proceed to the next one. Now we want to create a new branch from the developer branch. So basically, so far we have cloned the developer branch, and now we create a new one. In order to accomplish this, we simply use this code, and the new branch that it will be created, it has this name. So release underscore the number of the version number. Okay, so we need to define a variable that that indicates the git tool, and simply use a git command like here. So this will create a new branch. Let's see if it works. So I will commit, and I will push it. Okay, now let's see how the project works. I build it. We are already familiar with these steps. Now it says that it's running the batch script. So this is the batch script, and it says switch it to a new branch, release 1224. Okay, so this is okay. Now you may ask why to create a new branch. Well, of course there are many approaches. You don't have to do this. This is just a proof of concept, right? It's just a pipeline that tries to be used to learn stuff about Jenkins, about Git, and so on. The idea is basically related on the Git workflow strategy. So Git flow is probably the most used strategy in application development that uses Git. I'm sure that you saw this image before. Is basically the Git flow design. This is just a crop that tries to highlight the part that we are interested in. So basically we have the developer branch that the developer will clone to implement a new feature. We can consider this developer branch as our developer branch from here. So the developer will clone it and will implement the feature and will push it back to developer. Of course, here we can pass through an acceptance step and so on. But in the end, the code will land in the developer branch. At this moment, Git will notify Jenkins, or Jenkins will simply use its schedule, or a script will be triggered. Is not important. Important is that the Jenkins will fire up the pipeline for this code, and this is the moment when we create a new branch. So this branch from here is actually the one that we created here. Now the pipeline will execute the unit tests and so on, and there are two options. If the pipelines fail, then this new branch will be dropped, will be deleted, and the Jenkins probably will notify via emails, Slack, even with a GitHub issue about the pipeline failure, and this is how the pipeline ends. In case of success, in case that the pipeline is successfully built, then Jenkins will actually promote this pipeline, this branch to a new release branch. So this way each commit can become a release, and the new release is the end of the pipeline. Okay, so basically this is the role that is played by the new branch. So it can end up to be removed if the pipeline fails, or it can end up in a GitHub new release branch if the pipeline succeed. Okay, now the last step that comes in this stage is about stashing the source code of the application. Remember that our pipeline is passing through multiple machines, and these machines needs the source code of the application in order to perform their tasks. So we need to find a way to provide to each machine the source code of the application. There are multiple ways to accomplish this. We can simply clone the repository again on each machine. We can use archive and unarchive pipeline commands, or we can use the stash and unstash command, or even we can use some plugins like the copy artifact plugin. We will use stash and for stashing files, and we will unstash these files on when we will need it on a Linux machine. Okay, let's see how we will do this. Basically, the code that we need is this one. So we are using the stash command, and we said that we want to include the entire source code, and we provide a name. This is basically the stash identifier. We will use this name when we want to unstash these files. Okay, so it is time to commit again and see how is our pipeline build. Yeah, this is no issue. It's just the fact that session expired. Okay, so the build has started, and we can see the output. The important part here is this one. So the stash has succeeded, and we have 16 files stashed. Okay, so the code now the source code of the application is stashed, and it would be easily for us to provide this code to other machines. Okay, so far so good. Now we have basically finished the first draft of our stage, of our provision stage, and in the next session we will go to the next stage, and we will execute unit tests, integration tests, and so on. So see you soon.